Hey, it's Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine, and I'm Mike Mylan, and I'm joined by Blaine Birch. And guess what? We're going to be talking about today. It's it's already hard, right? It's already hard running a small business. Quit making it harder, right? Stop hurting yourself, Blaine. I mean, what do you think about that?
Oh man, yeah. It's business owners so often do things the hard way, thinking that they have to. You got to work hard. You got to do this. And man, no, it's already too hard. Find the shortcut. Always find the shortcut.
That's right. Well, and as usual, we are sponsored today by Dry Run for all of your cash flow forecasting needs. And I am joined by Blaine Birch, who is the CEO of Dry Run. So, Blaine, tell me a little bit about your service.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, Dry Run. If you're, especially if you're a CPA, CFO, we love helping you guys advise your clients using Dry Run to build financial models, do it super quick, save 80% of your time, and deliver really cool reports to your customers. So, thanks, Mike. Yeah, always happy.
That's right. So, and I'll tell you what, if this is your first time listening to Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine, go to mikeandblaine.com, check us out, right? Learn a little bit about us, see some of the past episodes, see the featured breweries. We're closing in on, 80, 90 different breweries that we've highlighted. And nobody, not one person, I'm going to challenge somebody listening to this today, not one person has bought us a beer.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Especially some of the guys that we promoted on here. You guys should be buying us a beer.
So Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine is all about business, beer, and BS. And I'll tell you what, Blaine, what are you drinking today?
All right. I had to look at my list. I had another beer picked out. I had to look at who I've had as my beer for the day before. And it turned out I'd already done them. So I ran to the fridge and I found a beer that I can't believe I haven't done before because these are unbelievably good. It's got a really cool can here. Oh, and this is it's a series from Collective Arts Brewing called Origin of Darkness. And this Collective Arts, they always do a collab. So what they've done is they've collaborated with Vitamin C Brewing, but it's Vitamin SEA Brewing, which I actually haven't heard of. But I tasted this beer. It's an Imperial Stout aged in rum barrels with coffee, almonds, lactose, and I don't even know how to pronounce this, speculoos cookies, 10%. And I got to tell you, this sucker is delicious. I'm like, oh, this is a good one. This is one that I don't want to predict, but this could be chance at beer of the year. This one has just been excellent. So Collective Arts out of Ontario, Canada, right country, probably wrong province for close to home. It's a little ways away, but terrific beer. What do you got going?
I'll tell you what, I love the can. And did you say 10%?
Yes. So if I start rambling near the end, just tell me. I may have to do some editing at the end. That's what happened last time I did that.
All right. So I'm going to tell you what, I ran across something today and I'm like going, you remember how I did Danny Trejo last week?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So this week I ran across Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull American Lager, right? So I'm excited about it, right? Because I mean, you know how he just pops the can, drinks the beer, throws it around. I mean, so that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to pop the can, drink the beer, throw it all around today.
Nice. I got to tell you, man, that one looks really familiar. Are you sure you haven't done that one? Or if I just had that one, I don't remember, but it looks,
you've had that one.
Looks so familiar somehow.
I think it's from El Segundo Brewery, so I'm going to assume it's California. So out there where you are, right? Or out you were in Scottsdale. So
yep.
Can I tell you what? I'm already a little miffed. Right? And normally I don't get like this, but with this beer, I got a little miffed because it comes in a 4-pack and they're 16-ounce cans, not 12-ounce, 16-ounce cans. It was a 4-pack. And I'm like, oh, that's good. I took it up to the counter. I had this. I think this is all I had. It was like $23.
Ooh. Holy smokes.
I'm like, what? I'm like on Stone Cold. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, if like Stone Cold must be, he's raking it in at 20 some bucks a 4-pack, right?
Yeah, that's not like a barrel aged anything. That's just a lager or something. He is killing it.
I'm used to 10, maybe up to 12, $14, but 20 some dollars for a 4-pack. So I've got high hopes because this can't be a regular drinking thing at that price.
It's, you know what, it's probably the cut they have to give to Steve Austin. That's what makes it expensive.
Well, yeah, that's right. Probably WWE gets part two.
I remember back years and years ago, that's probably right after the iPhone first came out, we came up with a scheme. I'm not saying it was a good idea, but we had this idea that we had an idea for an app, and we had built some apps, but we had this idea for an app that you would drive on the golf course. We would use the GPS, and you'd walk up to your ball, and then it would show you how crappy your drive was compared to the pros, and it would show you how far, so you could walk further forward and go, holy shit, this is how far John Daly hit the ball. And then we thought, you know what, if we can get his name on it, then it's almost like compare your drive to John Daly. And that was the whole idea for the app, right? And so we thought, this is a really cool idea. Maybe we could build the app and do like a rev split just to use his name or whatever. And it was, I can't remember anymore because it was so long ago, but it was 5 to 6 figures just basically to talk to. Like you're not doing anything without that. Like, yeah, no, it's not that. It was just an idea. It was kind of a fun one, but
yeah, nobody's going to use it though.
Yeah, it's like that's a pretty risky venture just because we had probably came up with an idea over a beer one night.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be told that I suck every time I hit the ball. I mean, I can already see it.
Well, yeah, I guess. I always wanted to see like how far do these guys hit? I was on a golf course once. We were doing a some kind of charity event, and I was part of the organizing whatever. And so we were in a golf cart, and there were some long drivers, and one of the guys was one of these world winning long drive guys, right? And so it was a par 5, and we kind of pulled out with our golf cart, and I'm like, oh, hey, these long drive guys are about to tee off. Let's see how far they can hit the ball. Mm. And they're little itty bitty guys all the way down the fairway, and we're not that far from the green. And then you see a little motion, and then you hear they're so far away that it's way after.
Yeah.
And we're watching, and we don't see the ball. We don't see the ball. I'm like, do you see the ball? No, I don't see the ball. Do you see the ball? And then we hear behind us, thunk. Holy crap. I couldn't tell you, like, these guys basically drove the green. I don't know. It was unbelievable. Like I couldn't hit half of the distance on my best day. It was unbelievable what these guys did.
That is crazy. So that's got to be like our golf game a little bit, right? I mean, we make it harder than it probably is.
Yeah, true. I'm not even a golfer. I do little charity things.
Funny, my dad's best friend, all right, went to the doctor recently. He told me the story about his doctor visit and all the questions he get asked. He's like 80 years old, right? And loves the Atlanta Braves, lives down in Florida, drinks beer, plays golf, rides bicycles. That's kind of his life.
Nice.
He even goes dancing. This guy, I mean, we call him Artie, the one man party, right? Again, 80 years old, gets more he gets around more than I do, right? So it's one of those things. So he was, and I'm telling the story because it's so funny. His doctor was asking about his drinking habits.
Yeah.
Right. And the doctor says, well, Artie, do you drink alcohol? He goes, well, yeah, I drink. He goes, well, how much do you drink? He goes, I don't know. Could be 2, could be 20. It depends on the day. 20 beers. He goes, you can't drink 20 beers. He goes, oh yeah. He says, just come with me for a day and you'll drink 20 beers with me. And so then the doctor goes, well, Artie, do you drink every day? And he goes, I try not to miss. When he was telling me that story, I just rolled out laughing. I mean, here you are talking to your doctor and you're saying, no, I drink every day.
Do my best. Apple every day. Nice.
So, I mean, our topic today is about making it harder, right? I mean, stop trying to make things harder. So it's like, because I just told a doctor story. It's like, the doctor goes, you go to the doctor and says, doctor, it hurts when I bend my arm like this. And the doctor says, well, don't bend your arm like that. That's the whole premise of today's talk, right? Let's stop doing those things. All right. So let's start off with, the premise. Like, why do we find ourselves in that position outside of, telling stories about some things that we used to do that we probably shouldn't? But why do we find ourselves in that? Why are we so hard-headed?
Well, I think the world, and especially in the business world, you hear work hard probably 100 times for every time you hear work smart. Like you do hear work smarter, not harder, but it's few and far between. It's this culture of the number of hours is all that counts. Make it, and there's some kind of badge of honor if you do it the hard way, but that is not the way to make it to be successful. To be successful, it's hard enough. Like you said at the start, it is so hard. You have to find the easy ways. You have to find the shortcuts. You have to find the advantage, that lever that you can pull.
Well, and again, 14 different companies now I've worked with, either started them or help build them. It gets so much easier after time, right? And it goes back to me. Have you ever seen the chart about levels of competence that we have, or levels of expertise that we have?
It doesn't sound familiar. No.
All right. So on one spectrum, you have what they call unconscious incompetent, which means that you know absolutely nothing about the topic. I mean, you don't even know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
That's one end of it, where this thing is so foreign that you have no way to even grasp the concept.
Yeah.
On the other side of the spectrum is conscious competence, which means you could do it in your sleep. You don't even need to prep. You just it just comes so naturally, like us with cash flow on one side, and maybe me with raising goats on the other. I have no absolutely nothing about raising goats. So
yeah.
The good thing is I do know what a goat is, so I guess I'm not totally incompetent.
Yeah, it's probably close. With a goat.
We find ourselves, depending on the subject, at various levels of that. From unconscious incompetent, then you kind of graduate to conscious incompetent, like going, oh, I know what I don't know now. I mean, I know the things, and that's usually where we kind of start off at in our first jobs or starting our first business, like going, okay, well, I know how to do the thing I'm good at, right? This is why I'm going to start a business. Yeah. I know that, but I might not know all the things that it takes to support the business, from HR to marketing to legal stuff. But then as we go and we've encountered more and more and more of these situations, we keep graduating to, okay, now we're conscious, competent, to the point where it just comes naturally. And the speed that I went from setting up businesses went from months to weeks, and now I can pretty much come up with something in a week, right?
Yeah.
And get it ready to present to somebody and move. I mean, just the speed that I move through it. What's your take on that?
Well, I understand sort of the spectrum, but I think there's also going past the end of that spectrum. It's like, I can do this stuff in my sleep, but when you always see it with experts and these, people that are incredibly smart, it seems like the more seasoned and smart they get in one area, the more they understand how little they know, because they understand it so well. They know it's like, I can kill it right here. It's like, a bit like our topic was last week, where you kind of stay in your lane. It's like, I can do this in my sleep, but I know enough to know I shouldn't be opening a bar because I don't know anything about it. Like, I like it, but I don't know anything about it. And so there's another level there of knowing kind of like where you cap out, where you're not good at it. Right.
Yeah. Well, but the other thing is that when you get to a level, I don't know if this is true of you, but it's true of me. There's parts where I now got to go back and refresh, even on my own material, right? I'm like going, I haven't taught that in about, 12 months, 15 months. How did I used to do that exercise? So complacency actually starts to erode your competency, right? That's why they have refresher courses. That's why, you're like, oh my God, I remember I used to do that, but I forgot about it somehow.
Yeah. Especially on the sort of the tactical side, like on the execution side. You just have to keep that sharpened, and it's so important, right? Like you're not sharp, you're going to cost yourself money, time, energy, everything else.
Yeah. The thing that for me, I was doing a break even exercise, and I was doing the math right.
Yeah.
But it was like I had a brain, knot where I couldn't, you notice how I use not instead of the other word. I had a brain knot where it's like I could not get the words out. And it was in the middle of a seminar. I mean, it's a live seminar. I've got 35 business owners sitting out there. And I'm like going, yeah, it works mathematically. I don't know why I can't explain why. And what I was talking about was at break even, your net profit. This is after everything is paid for, all of your stuff is paid for. Your net profit should increase at the gross profit percentage. And what I mean, what I didn't add to that, why it was so confusing, is that for every new dollar in sales, your net profit will increase by the gross profit percentage. So if you get 25% in gross profit, a new dollar gives you 25 cents to net profit after break even. But for some reason, that whole concept went blank.
I've had that happen more than once. It's, the brain can only hold so much, and then it starts falling out my ears. So,
all right. There was a point in time when I first started the hotel staffing company. I just transitioned out of janitorial, started the hotel staffing company, and it seemed like everything was closing in on me at once, right? Legal contract stuff with Marriott and some of the larger companies. They were really getting, this is at the same time that USA, the ID verification process for the United States.
Okay.
Was just getting started, but it was optional. You didn't have to put people into it to verify them, right? So we were still taking copies of IDs and things like that and building an HR packet around it. But all of this stuff was just starting to close in. And I thought there was all these new regulations. I'm like going, I'm going to be overwhelmed. And it really was overwhelming. New regulations, new clients, big clients were coming on board. I opened 27 offices in 36 months, right? It was just, so think about every city, every new permit, joining the chambers. Yeah. I mean, just on and on and on.
Yeah.
I was just stressed. I've only, you gotta remember, I was in the Army. I was a, state trooper, but I was more stressed during that time period than ever, and it was a grandfather that says, hey, listen, you just have to control what you can control. That's it. He says, be good at those things you can control, because I was trying to think beyond my control into what if, and how to plan way out in front of the government. And then it turned out that didn't even happen anyway, right? I got wrapped up in regulations that weren't there. So that was me making it harder on myself. It should have been. And man, I lost weight. I was stressed out. I mean, it was a crazy time period. I mean,
yeah. And you bring up a sort of angle there, making it harder and mentally making it harder is one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs. And I can completely relate to that, because that's, entrepreneurs, like at least myself here, you're always looking at opportunity. You're always looking ahead. Here's how we get here. Here's how we get here. Here's how we get here. The danger in that is that your world revolves around what ifs and where you're going. And this is anxiety of where you're trying to go, where you just have to stay, so much of it, you have to do that a little bit, but a lot of it, you just have to stay in the moment. And I remember, I don't remember who it was anymore, but I was at some conference somewhere and some guy was on stage talking. But the one part I remember is that he said, he goes, you got to swat the mosquitoes. He says, everybody's scared of the shark, but he said, it's the mosquitoes that kill more people. And he said, as a business owner, you don't have to worry about that one big one. It's every day. You just swat the mosquitoes. It's a little problem, just day by day, move forward. And you can look back and you made all this distance. And it was just something that still sticks in my brain every once in a while, that no, calm it down. Just swat those mosquitoes. I've gotten to a habit of every week, like it's Friday today. I've just got in a habit. I don't think about it anymore, but I'll just stop at the end of the day and say, what did we accomplish this week? And bring it down to this week. Did we take steps forward? Did we do some good things? Did we move forward? And it helps immensely.
That was a perfect analogy for what I was going through then, what I just explained. I was so worried about the shark, the big government regulation that might have changed my whole business model
Mhm.
versus all the little things I was doing all day long, right? So I was swarmed. As soon as you said that, I'm picturing myself with all these mosquitoes around me,
Yeah.
and I'm worried about the shark that's out there, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Now, uh, what's funny about that is that how do we get there, right? It's like on how do we get to the point where that's what we're focused on? I mean, what happens? I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's why I'm like, how is it that we get focused on the wrong things and it obviously takes us down the wrong path?
Yeah, I think that entrepreneurs, a lot of like when you tend to be the big, like you tend to be a vision, an idea person, a driver. You're trying to move a big mountain, and a lot of times entrepreneurs aren't very, at least myself, and I think it's common amongst entrepreneurs, aren't necessarily good at the small details because
Mhm.
it's just the brain's kind of wired one way or the other. And I think that's oftentimes a challenge for entrepreneurs, that that's just a little bit like for myself. I think it's just how I'm wired. And I know I'm wired to always be sort of looking forward and finding that next big, big mover, not as good at the details. And it's so I have to be very disciplined to try and pull myself back down and get into the swatting the mosquito sort of thing, right?
You know what? That was the biggest lesson I learned at Finograph early on. I'm talking about before we had the dashboard, before there was cash flow tool. We had a product called BBC Easy. And if you don't know what BBCs are, it's borrowing based certificates. It's like asset based lending, like taking a loan out against your receivables or your inventory or things like that. So we built a
Yeah.
product. Well, and the thing about these things is you have to report on them frequently, which means maybe every week provide a report to the bank, or every month, or it's because it's always moving. How much inventory you have, how much you have in receivables. It's always a moving target, so it's frequent
Yeah.
reporting, and it usually takes about an hour plus to generate one of these reports. An hour for the business owner, another hour for the banker to receive it, to organize it, to put it into the system, and then make a
Yeah.
determination. Should I increase in line, decrease in line, make a decision on what to do next?
Mhm.
Well, we built this product that did all that automatically, right? We'll go into accounting systems, and in the 2011-12, this was new. Right
Yeah.
now, everybody connects to accounting systems pretty easily. But we would pull out stuff from the accounting system, organize it, sort it, fill the report out in seconds, send it in automatically.
Yeah.
There was a problem. We were only solving about a tenth of the bank's lending problem,
Mm.
because borrowing based certificates make up the smallest portions of a loan portfolio, right? They got mortgages, they've got, term loans on everything, equipment loans, they got all this other stuff. They make up such
Yeah.
a small problem that we couldn't get people's attention. So we expanded it to, we're going to write every small business loan. And again, this is us trying to tackle the biggest problem in the world, do the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And we're just making it hard on ourselves, because what the customers were telling us, the banks were telling us, is saying, if you can just read a tax return and give us those numbers and put it so we can put it into our own loan underwriting software,
Yeah.
that would be better. We're like going, well, yeah, we do that, but we got all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And we built this massive mountain of a product, when really what the market was saying, I need that one little piece.
Yeah.
And everything would have changed. We made it so much harder on ourselves,
Yeah.
because in a room, we're smarter than the market. And guess what? We're not.
Yeah.
Right? We're just not.
Not at all. It's, it reminds me back in my agency days. We had a creative agency. I had it for a decade, and I look back now, and near the end of that, I started to really understand finance and all that, and you start to understand how much money we left on the table, right? But I look back on that, and we oftentimes did things the just absolute hardest way. And one of the biggest things we would do that was so would make it hard is you just get good at one thing and we'd be off to doing something else. Because and part of it is because you got a room, half the guys in the room are creative. Like they're like, I got designers and art directors and developers, maybe not as creative necessarily. And we'd have, photographers and contract like writers and videographers, all this creative energy. And instead of like, hey, we tackled this, we learned from it, let's basically kind of repackage or resell that. We always seem to take on the next big challenge that we thought sounded neat, but it was always hard because it always, like we've talked about it, everything sounds easy from the outside. And I still remember we did one, we did a touchscreen kiosk. And this is, it's going back 15, 20 years. There wasn't like, we had to really hunt to find even the technology. Then we had to build and program these things. And we had a designer build this giant, like, case, basically like the kiosk to put all the stuff into. And we were just learning this and figuring it out and making all the mistakes all the way along the way. And, you got your way through it and it actually worked and it looked really slick and it was really pretty cool. And then the next thing comes in and we're like, yeah, I don't know. It was kind of a pain in the ass to do all this. Let's do this other thing. It's really cool. And you'd be on to the next thing. And, we made money, but I look at it and think, man, if we had just taken some of those early things we did really well and just like rinse and repeat, would have been so much easier and so much more profit and so much more money than what we did.
Some of my favorite apps are the ones that are the simplest, right? You just can only do a couple of things, but they do them just super well, just super
Really well.
fun, right? So, when you talked about seeing somebody else do something and it looks easy and then you do it.
Oh yeah.
You're like, well, I didn't know they had to do all of that as well. Yeah. Well, this week I was in an accounting conference and it was this company's first time holding a conference, right? So, I mean, and over the years, they've probably been to 100, right? Or more, right? So, and I'll tell you, for the most part, great. I mean, if they do this on a regular cadence, great bones, great stuff. But then it's always like you see the little things that other events do that they didn't. Like there was no lead scanners. So when people came to the booth, there was no way to exchange information. Now anymore, people just take a QR code or an app and scan it and it's done. There wasn't that capability. So, I mean, even on the badges or things like that. So there's these little details that start to pop out and you go, oh yeah, we didn't think about that. That's making it harder, right?
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things is that's where you find those experts. Like you have to know, where is my limit end and where can hiring the expert just save me an incredible amount of time, money, energy. It always seems expensive. And then you realize, oh no, it's actually why, because they really know what they're doing, right?
Well, it's just like when I was in New York about a month ago, and I've got a group of friends that are Hasidic Jews, right? I mean, very traditional, very conservative. When they go to a conference, there's a certain dietary need and other religious things that have to be accounted for. And these are things that new event people don't plan for, right? Like the dietary needs of a kosher requirement, or they have some prayer requirements that they have to also go through prior to events and things like that. So, and usually they give them, some of the events I've seen, think about that. They'll say, oh, well, we have a room that's just yours. You guys use this room for what you want. We'll bring your meals into there. I mean, all those type of things. So it's I don't think I'd do it. I think I'd miss, right? I think I would make my job harder and I would have to take the hits, right? The hits are, here's the complaints, here's the feedback that I got that made my life, I did it the hard way, which wasn't the right way.
Yeah. Well, and like even starting Dry Run, and actually probably 1999, starting my agency when it was me, myself and I, and then me and one other guy that I hired. And at the start, you have to do it the hard way, right? You're kind of doing everything, but it is such a relief when you get to the point where you have people that are way better than you at a whole bunch of things, all doing their thing. And it's really important that you keep them in their lane and that they do what they're good at, because again, it's like they get better and better at it. And that's doing it the easy way. As soon as you start moving them out of their lane, which happens a lot in a startup, it's inevitable, but man, it's a gift. The more you can keep people in that place where they're really good, really comfortable, and keep getting better and better.
Hey, so what's something that you don't do now that you used to? Meaning, like, I know that's not my lane. I used to do it myself. It was always mediocre, and now I let somebody else do it.
Well, I really don't do sales. Like, we have a sales team, and they are infinitely better at it than I am. Like, looking back, I did a lot of sales. I didn't recognize that I did a lot of sales, because during my agency days, we didn't have a salesman. So it was me, partner, someone, we were doing out sales, and we were doing literally, like, you look back and go, well, I guess I don't see myself as a salesman, but I've done millions of dollars in sales. Like, you have, right? But I recognize now I am not good at it. And that's an area where, like, those guys are, Jeremy, our director of development, like, he is like relentless, and he's an assassin. Like, he's so good at process and systems and how you do this. Man, I'm not good at it. And I'm so glad that I have people that are, right.
Hey, would it surprise you for me to say the same thing? I'm just not good at it, right? I'm just not good at, I'm good at 100 other things. I just, if you sat me down and says your job is to man this booth and to just drive sales all day long, yeah, you got the wrong guy. Because I don't know. Well, because there's that thing, right? It's will plus skill.
Yeah.
Right. So I could probably, I either have the skill or I could attain it pretty quickly. I don't have the heart, and you can't train heart, right? You just can't train heart to do it.
It's when it's not in your lane, you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know where I gravitate towards, and I'm not very good at the details and at the repetition of that grinding. I'm much more bigger picture, longer term opportunity. I just, pulling a lot of parts that seem unrelated and going, no, this is how they go together, and this is why, right? Like, I'm good at that stuff. I'm I drive a little bit. Like, I think I'm good at that stuff. But like client success, like our client success team, they're infinitely better than I am, because they look at those details, and they're so dialed in, and they're talking with those customers every day about these problems. And it's not like, I love talking with customers, but taking to that next step of putting systems and processes and materials and things like that in place.
Yep.
I'm good at, and that's, again, like, when I started my first agency, I started out because I was designing things, and I was good at it. Like, I was a pretty good designer, but it was not long till everybody else was doing that, and I was not doing the design work. Like, there were times they would just call me in when they were stuck on something. I'm like, do this, because I'd done enough to know it. But man, I wasn't, looking back, like, I was a good designer. I wasn't good at, I couldn't do a career of that. I couldn't sit and do that sort of repetitive, this, it's just not my where I'm strongest, right?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love building a plan. I love fitting the pieces together. I love organizing departments, like on, what product and marketing doing, keeping them in cadence, keeping them, so where product didn't get way out in front and marketing isn't promoting the right thing, which, hurts sales.
Yeah.
I like that. I also like training, right? I like the training, teaching aspect of things, but just day-to-day sales, which just becomes a routine, that's just not been my thing, right? And I think it goes back to being a state trooper early on, which is every day was different, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. Every day there was never the same. I might have the same shift. I might be going 6 a.m. till 2 p.m, but it was different.
Yeah.
Every single day. Different roads, different people, different scenarios. And that's probably where I developed an appetite for variety, right? For complex problems and taking things as they come and trying to sort them out, as opposed to a sales mentality.
Yeah. It's interesting, because I think I'm a lot like you, and I actually probably get more stressed about little detail things that other people would think are insignificant, because they're uncomfortable, and where other people are probably uncomfortable with longer term and big and really big bets and things. I'm totally comfortable with that. I don't, it's Interesting, because I really enjoyed sort of that teaching and training side too. There was years where I taught senior level design courses at the university, um, just a couple afternoons a week, but it was a really great relief and I just enjoyed it. That's why I did it for years. Um, and then it was just like, yeah, well, once you start juggling 50 things at once, it's like, I got to run a business. I can't do this anymore, but I really enjoyed it. And I don't know if there's some sort of thing with entrepreneurs like that, or I don't know. I'm not sure.
Hey, well, let me ask you this. Is there something right now you struggle with? You're like, oh man, I feel like I'm just doing this the hard way.
Oh, there's always like off the top of my head, it's almost like nothing pops off the top of my head, but I know there's probably 50 things if I sit and think about it. Cause that's what so much of it, like even with dry run, like where it's, every time you crest a mountain, you see the next one behind it and it's taller. Like you just kind of, and so you're just constantly looking and going, where are we making this hard on ourselves? And where are we? And I think as a team, sometimes we'll race ahead and do things the hard way. We'll prepare for things that we're worried about happening that never happen, or they're not going to happen for years. Like, let's be prepared for 10 million customers. Well, we're not at 10 million. We don't need that right now. Right. Like it's, you have to, it's making it the hard way. And sometimes it's just like, even saying to the team, keep it simple, make it easier.
Well, I like to consider myself decent at woodworking, right? Wood projects, things like that. Now I'm gonna go personal with this. It's something that's frustrating me. It frustrates me like a motherfucker right now. For my language, but it's in my heart that way right now.
Yeah.
So I built elaborate, huge wall units, right? Bookcases with shelves or benches built into them.
Yeah.
I built an accent wall in the bedroom. And I have got a seam that I cannot make disappear. Right? It's one of those things where I walk in there and I see it, and I've redone this part of the wall twice, and it still sucks. Right? If you are any good at carpentry and you came into my house, you saw it, you're like, oh, yeah, that guy's probably doing it the hard way. Because there's got to be an easier way to do it than I'm doing it. And it's one of those things that is frustrating. And I even YouTube, like, what's a better way to, put a seam together without, and the thing is, I could hide it with another piece of wood. I could hide it with it, but I don't want to, because because everything is so symmetrical that if I put another piece of wood in there, it's asymmetrical. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So first of all, I did a poor job planning the wall, because it's equal squares all on the wall. Right. Like you've probably seen in different places, and it looks cool, except for this one little seam that's going through, because I didn't think about it when I put the plywood backer on, right? That I could build the squares on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put the seam, not behind some trim. I put it out in the open, and now it's frustrating the crap out of me. So I'm in that position right now. So here I am speaking about, hey, giving you advice. You shouldn't do things the hard way. And I know in that room back there that I'm doing it the hard way, and I don't know how to fix it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's well, and I've told you before that I make skateboards, longboards. Anyone on video here, you can kind of, there's a few of my boards right there.
Wait, did you make those?
Yeah. From scratch.
Oh, wow. They look store-bought. Seriously.
Well,
they're that good. They're that good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, they're I made them absolutely from scratch, like literally made the mold, laminated the wood, like designed the board, cut it out, like the whole works, designed the design on it, did the airbrushing, the whole thing. And I know the first dozen boards, more than that, probably 20 boards, I was doing things the hard way, and you learn the hard way. And that's the worst thing. When you look for that shortcut or look for that help after you've screwed something up, right? Like, that did not work. And then I go to YouTube to figure out what I did wrong. It's not like I would take the time to figure it out beforehand. No. And now I've been in a groove that the last number I've made here, I'm like, Yeah, those all worked really good but it took so long to get there. And now I'm making knives. I think I've told you that I've got I'm making knives. I've got a grinder in the garage and all that kind of stuff. And the one I'm working on, and I'll be working on it this weekend, I'm trying to do something really tricky that I've never done before, but it seemed simple. And I'm like, yeah, it's gonna take me hours to try and get it fixed on the weekend because I just don't know what I'm doing. And I'm a dozen knives away probably from feeling like I know what I'm doing.
All right, so we have a third car garage, but it's really a workshop, right? And I don't park anything in there. I park,
Yeah.
where all my woodworking equipment is.
Yeah.
And I think on this block anyway, I'm the only one with a computer. I bought one of those rolling standing computer stands with a monitor up top. And you put the computer on it and you can just
Okay.
put it anywhere you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because YouTube has become my best friend in the workshop, right? Like, how do I do that? How'd that cut go? How do you measure this?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like a trainer inside the garage. I mean, I've never once had a computer in the garage, and I've had TV screens in there, but to watch TV. No, I'm watching YouTube videos. Hey, speaking of YouTube, guess what we're doing next week?
We're going live.
Yeah, we're going live. Something new, right? We're going to try something new. So when we do this show, starting next week, we're going to go live on YouTube. Look for Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine on YouTube. That's the channel. Please subscribe. And I'll tell you what, we hit a big milestone. We got almost 130 5-star likes on Apple now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And we got a ton of downloads too, which is really cool to see. That's really fun.
Yeah, downloads really took off. So really happy about that. So if you're out there listening to us, you're part of it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Always appreciate it. And out of all those people, no one's bought us a beer.
Not one person. There's a big button. I made it green. I made it big. I put it right in the middle of the page. It says, hey, just buy us a beer. 0 people have done that. Not one. Not one. So I think we're doing it the hard way.
Yeah, we really are. You know,
I see Courtney go to like TikTok or Instagram. She'll watch these people on Instagram for like 40 seconds and they'll say, oh, this is a new candle I got at Target. And she'll click it and buy the candle. I'm like, what? Why does nobody ever do that to my stuff?
Okay, when we stream live, we'll have to figure out how to have the buy beer now button live blinking while we're talking right on YouTube. I don't even know if you can do that, but it'd be kind of cool if you could.
You know, Courtney says she's going to go buy one, but I said, no, you can't. You cannot, right? It can't be, can't be family.
No, it's got to be someone we don't know.
Yeah,
and
but one of you neighbors out there know that I have this challenge. You can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Or like one of these breweries, man, we're boosting all these breweries all the time. I love them, so I'm good with that. But
I tell you what, I mean, I think the buy a beer button is $5, right? It only costs $5. We buy the beer. Steve, I just bought 4 of yours at $5 each.
$24. Yeah. I had to get used to Canadian beer prices when I got back to Edmonton. I did a beer run, but you know, the kind of beer I buy all this, bloody craft this, craft that. And I think it was like $170 later. I'm like, oh, that's a hit, but filled my fridge up and I should be good to go for a little while anyway.
Yeah, right. All right. So is there some advice? Let's go that way. Like how to recognize when you're doing it the hard way.
Well, I think a lot like, maybe your gut tells you you're doing it the hard way, but I think that's where focus it, like living under a rock is your biggest enemy. Like, that's why, like you see all these books down here, both Mike and I, we've both written books. And we both read a lot of books, a lot of articles, and we don't do anything like even us talking about this kind of stuff every week. We're both, I'm sure, like talking with entrepreneurs all the time, learn from people that are in the fight, that are doing the same things as you. And the one thing I've found is when I'm talking with other entrepreneurs, I can talk with other people that are in a completely different sector. And you're still just, it's like you're in the same battle, right? Like you can talk with someone that owns a restaurant or a auto body shop or this or that. and you talk with them and they've got these similar battles, and it's amazing how much is transferable and you can learn from them. So that's what I say is talk with people, like keep an open mind and hire really good people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with that, but I'll say this, that there are tasks in small business that you can make easier. Task.
Yep.
But starting building and work, driving a new business, it is hard, right? It's hard. There's little things you can do to make it easier, but the whole process itself, I'm not gonna bullshit anybody on this call and say run a small business is easy. It's not. One of the reasons why we have this call, right, every week is that it's hard. And my hope is that we can help somebody with something, with a tidbit or whatever. So not everything that you're going to do is going to be easy. But at the same time, there are those things that become roadblocks, that become time sucks, right? That just steal days from you, because you could just turn it over to somebody that can do it in minutes, or you can bang your head against the desk for days, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hiring people to do some of these things is so important. And you know what? Don't worry about the hourly cost or the price. So it's like, oh, they're making so. Does it just focus on, does it help you? Does it make you money? Does it make you more valuable to your clients? What does it do for your business? Focus on that.
Well, I tell you what, I've become a fan though of the gig economy, the Fivers, the Upworks, those type of things, because there's sometimes I'm like going, I can do it, but if they can get me 90% of the way there for $25, let's just do that.
Oh, yeah.
I do little projects like that all the time. I mean, I go ahead and outsource them. That's one way to kind of clear your plate.
We do that as well. We have, like, of course we have our core team, but you don't see outside of our core team how many other people we're using to do things that they can focus on, they're really good at. And oftentimes it's just way less expensive than trying to employ somebody to do it, part-time or full-time. And it's a waste of time for you as an entrepreneur to spend your time on it.
I got kind of a last question for you before we start closing up. I talked to, I'm gonna call her a friend now. I talked to a friend this week at the conference, and she's using a virtual assistant. What's your thoughts on that? Because I've heard of it. I know a little bit about. I don't know a lot.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know much about it either. I know a friend of mine uses one religiously, and I believe he's still using them and for a long time. So I think it's been really successful for him. I don't even know where to start. It might help me, and I don't know. I don't really even know if it could, right?
I wouldn't even know where to start to set them up. Where can you help me? Because some of the stuff I'm doing now, I don't know that I could, I mean, they can't do a presentation for Scaling New Heights for me. Right. Maybe they can make it look prettier. I haven't, but is that really a virtual assistant, or is that kind of a gig wage thing? Right.
I think that'd be more of a gig thing. I'm not really sure. I think a virtual assistant would probably, I don't even know. I would guess it'd be more like helping with schedule and meetings and booking and all that stuff and everything. And like, I use systems for all that. It seems to work all right. I really don't know. Maybe it's something to look at. Maybe it can save me a few hours a week. I don't really know.
And I'll tell you what, if you're listening to this and you're a virtual assistant, contact us and give us give me an education, because I'll talk about, we'll put a whole episode on how to use them, how to make them part of your life. Heck, I'll even get one just to see, how to use it. I mean, because right now that's my whole thing. I'm like going, that seems like another project to me, like going, what would I tell that person to do?
Yeah, but it also, on the other side, it seems like one of those things where it seems easy, or we don't really know because we're on the outside and we don't know anything. I'm guessing if we went and talked to somebody that was really seasoned, they would just go, yeah, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I do it, and this is how I set it up. And like, sweet, that's awesome. I've never looked at it. I've never even considered it, but maybe that wouldn't be such a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, she's got some data entry stuff that happens overnight.
Okay.
So I can see how it's beneficial for her. She goes, yeah, I've got all this stuff that has to be transferred from She does not, I guess, payroll, but she calls it payroll restoration, which is like we fix broken payroll, which is taking people that have screwed up the last 2 or 3 years of payroll where they have to re-report it or redo something with it, and fixes that process
Yeah.
and reconciles all the problems from the past.
You,
So
okay. I got to tell you, this is the perfect example. I had an issue with a payroll company back in my creative agency days where they screwed up and made a big mess for me, and we ended up firing them because they kind of screwed it all up. And then CRA, we called the Dragon Lady, came in and was kind of yelling at us, and then found out that it's like, no, I was really do anything wrong. And it eventually went away, but it was so stressful and so painful that I wouldn't use a payroll company. And then so I'm doing payroll myself manually, and awful, twice a month, absolutely painful. And
you do that now?
what's that?
You do that now?
I was for quite a long time. And then I just said to my account one day, I'm like, this is, what do you suggest? What should I use? I got burned by one of these systems before. And he said, yeah, no, we offer that service. Like,
yeah,
pardon? You do what? And it costs, like, it is really cost effective, and they do like everything for me. And it's like this massive lift went off my shoulders. Like, why was I fighting this for years? Like, just dumb, right? Blind spot.
Yeah, I had the same thing, and then QuickBooks came up with this enhanced payroll service. Done. I was happy to get that out of my office.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't do it way sooner, because it is just awesome. It works terrific, and it's worth every penny, and it's not expensive. And I don't think it's a lot of work for them. I think they're doing well off of it. Just one of those things where it was a complete blind spot for me that I kind of knew, but it's almost like the virtual assistant. It was like, I've known for a long time, this is really dumb and this is a waste of time, and I'm doing it the hard way. But my perception was, man, it's going to be even worse. Like, how much time and energy and pain is it going to be to get something set up so someone can take it over? And it turns out very little. I was like, I don't even remember. I don't think it was like Eddie. It was like done. And, and then I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know. Again, I didn't know what I didn't know. It was actually super easy. Should have done it years ago.
All right. You learn anything today?
Well, collective arts is just a terrific origin of darkness. I didn't learn that today. I just wanted to say that. No, what it is it's more like, I know how important it is to work smarter, not harder, but it's a good reminder to take a look at where are the blind spots in my business right now? Where are the blind spots in my day and my week right now? Where am I doing it the hard way? And where's my team doing something the hard way? And continue to, just as a team, collaborate and say, where can we do things easier? Where are those natural shortcuts? So it's just a really good reminder how important it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said something that I thought about, like, going, there is a lot of gut there, right? You're like going, and it isn't just, well, maybe I'm not confident. I'm doing it right, but I'm not confident. No, sometimes when your gut's telling you, there's got to be a better way to do this, chances are there are, right? So trust your gut, right? If it feels wrong, chances are there's a better way to do it. Take a few minutes. I mean, I'll do that during watching a show at night before I go to bed. I'm like going, man, I struggled with this today. There's got to be somebody out there that does it better.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you are listening to Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. And if you haven't, visit us on our website. It's mikeandblaine.com. We have a YouTube channel, and that is Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. And I guess what? We're going live on YouTube next week. And please make Blaine happy and buy us a beer.
Buy us a beer. And I promise I won't spend the money on another 10%er, because I'm pretty sure I got rambly by the end again.
All right. Another good one in the books. This was, I think, 39. I've messed that up a couple times, but 39.
39. We got a round number next week. I don't know if it's a big number. It's a round number.
All right. So we're going to wear our t-shirts. We got a merch too. We're going to wear t-shirts on 50. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And maybe like a hat or something.
I don't have a hat yet.
Neither do I. I'll get a hat.
I have to go to the merch shop and buy one.
I better go to a merch shop and buy one because you know where I left my shirts in Arizona. I just realized that right now when you said that, I'm like, uh-oh, my shirts are 3,000 miles away. So I better order a shirt.
All right. Hey, another good one in the books. Nobody told me with Mike and Blaine. Hey, like, subscribe, download, man. That's our big goal right now. And thank you to Dry Run and Blaine Birch for sponsoring this episode. Like always, appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Check us out, dryrun.com, and looking forward to next week.